Today's video is sponsored by Ground News, more on them later. Hannah Pearl Davis, also known as JustPearlyThings, Pearl, or the Female Andrew Tate, a title which she seems to think is the world's greatest compliment. And perhaps that's because this is the image that she has tried very hard to create for herself by touting very strange beliefs that a lot of people doubt that she even believes, myself included. Beliefs such as women shouldn't vote, it's a woman's fault if a man cheats, and that single mothers have simply just made bad choices. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, I would have said more for you there, but good script writing dictates that you put things together in threes for some reason. It seems to work. But who is Pearl, and what does she actually stand for? That's what we're going to be looking at today. Pearl Davis is an anti-feminist. Now, to be completely transparent with everybody here, back in the day, in 2015, 2014, when the anti-feminist rhetoric was very high, I did consume a lot of that content. And although I think a lot of it was gone about in a terrible way, mostly because people wanted clicks and views, shocking, I do agree with a lot of the points that were made. I do believe that somebody needs to be looking out for men. They do have their own issues and their own problems. With that being said, I don't think in any way that putting women down is the way to help men's issues, but that seems to be what Pearl thinks. But it's one thing to just talk about Pearl. I think to fully understand what we're dealing with here, you need to watch her, because in this introduction, I'm sort of building her up as this big Andrew Tate type figure. Whereas, to be completely honest, and I do not say this to be rude, I think she is simply somebody who says whatever controversial take she thinks will get the most traction, the most people to argue with her, and the most red-pilled people to agree with her and validate her. And she does this on every platform under the sun. She has a TikTok page.
Women, we are so addicted to attention that if we don't get the validation and attention from men, a lot of times we'll resort to this stuff. And that's why the social media age has really messed us up so much, because we're so used to getting a certain level of attention that it's unprecedented in all of history. Women have never gotten this much attention. Even the most beautiful women, that a lot of times when it starts to go away, we just kind of start to go crazy. We start to go nuts and do bigger and more shit for attention.
Of course, on Instagram, she has a YouTube channel where she posts videos simply of herself talking. She hosts a debating podcast called the Pregame, where she mostly debates feminists. And she's very active on Twitter, the place where I originally found her, because her tweets kept popping up for me of her saying things like this and like this. But to get a proper understanding of who she is and what she stands for, let's actually listen and watch some of her content. With Pearl's content on YouTube, there's a sort of dichotomy there. She has the content where she's put together, she's got a microphone and it's very, very professional looking. And then she has the content where she's filming on her phone, taking breaks and pauses and just sort of rambling. And I don't see an issue with doing either of those forms of content, but let's first watch the more professional looking videos.
If you want women to approach you left and right, you're thinking, how do I get a woman to approach me instead of approaching them? Get yourself a women shouldn't vote t-shirt today.
Like I said earlier, Pearl often says that women shouldn't vote, and this seems to be a take that she's very proud of thinking of, because at any given moment, she will talk about this. If we were to take the quality and the effort that went into this merch as any kind of indicator as to how strongly she believes this take, I would have to say not at all. But the other thing that makes this take kind of strange is the fact that she herself has said that she would like to run for office. Now, I'm not sure in which situation women wouldn't be allowed to vote, but they would be allowed to be in government. Surely, if we are too stupid to have the capacity to vote, which is what Pearl believes, we are too stupid to be in government. Before we continue on with this video though, let me tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Ground News. It's embarrassing to admit, but I spent so many years not reading the news because it just seemed that everything I read was biased to one side or the other. Honestly, I just did not trust any news outlets, and I know I'm not the only one. Then a while ago, I heard about Ground News, and it completely changed the game for me, which is why I was so excited when I found out that they wanted to sponsor today's video. Ground News is an app and website that aggregates news from media outlets all over the world. This allows you to compare coverage from different outlets to see through the biased spin of modern news organizations. For example, we can look at news about Andrew Tate, who Pearl Davis is constantly being compared to. We can see that the majority of publications sharing stories about him are right-leaning. Plus, if we click on a recent story, we can see a visual breakdown of the outlets reporting, and the majority are 60% right-leaning, and 80% of the publications are of mixed factuality. And to make it even simpler to clarify the differing narratives, their AI tool provides a concise summary that illustrates how the left, right, and centre are framing the story. For example, here it says that the left frames it as an issue of trafficking disguised as an adult content business, while the right emphasises the manipulation and deceit involved. Ground News really does make keeping up with the news much simpler since I don't need to jump between multiple sites, and it's honestly a much more enjoyable experience since we can get right to the heart of the story. I really would recommend Ground News, so if you want easy access to reliable info from all sides, go to ground.news/skov to get 30% off unlimited access. That link is in the description for you as well. Thank you so much to Ground News for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the rest of it.
Guys, every night I just go on Twitter and I tweet. I tweet. I have all these thoughts. Occasionally I even do a Twitter space to just, spread these thoughts.
And oh boy, she does tweet because she has a constant flow of tweets and they generally seem to be revolved around the same thoughts, just rephrased multiple different ways, and I think she might do this to try and see which versions get the most traction. Women can't admit to the negative parts of female nature because of narcissism. They don't want to admit things are wrong with them. Yet men are easily able to admit the negative parts of male nature without crying that not all men are like that. I need to take a moment for you to understand what she's saying here. She's saying that men are very happy to admit their faults without saying not all men. Pearl, did you write that wrong? I'm not sure where she's gotten this take from. But it's tweets like these that make me truly believe that she's just saying things to be controversial and she doesn't believe what she's saying. Because of course, not all men are saying not all men. You get what I mean? But a lot of them say not all men. And I want to be clear here, I'm not getting into the not all men debate because it's not relevant right now. I'm just getting into the debate of the fact that this is untrue, and she is definitely aware of how untrue that is, considering how chronically online this woman is. Directly under that tweet, female nature, exaggerate things, never being happy, imposing their will on men, complaining about problems instead of fixing them. What else? The reason she asks what else is because Twitter is now monetized for some people. Presumably she's one of those people and would like to get as much engagement as possible. I wonder what else might get as much engagement as possible. Perhaps saying very controversial things? Maybe. Back to the video though.
And unfortunately, we live in a society that does not acknowledge female nature. What is female nature? It's never being happy. It's over-exaggerating things. It's always trying to impose our will on the men. There's positives of female nature. Can't think of any right now, but there are, right?
I find it very ironic that she's saying the issue with female nature is never being happy and exaggerating things, while she sits there not being happy with female nature and exaggerating the difficulties that marriages are going through these days, traditional marriages being threatened.
And there are so many men that don't have access to their children in this country. There are so many men where the woman was actually the reason and the cause of the divorce, yet the kids think it was the father. We cannot have a stable family unit without the laws being changed. It is not fair that men have to gamble everything, really, for women that typically are over the age of 25, typically have some sort of past, and typically really don't add a lot of value today. The average age of a wife in the UK is 31. There's no purity. There's no youth there. And a lot of times they bring in other men's kids.
See, she does this thing, and this is what bothers me. She brings up somewhat valid points that there is an issue where a lot of the time the courts will favour a woman over the man in a custody battle automatically. Those are valid issues. Again, not what we're debating today. But then she decides to throw all that away and say the issue is because the wives aren't pure. And you may have noticed she said that it's because they aren't under 25. The average age of a wife in the UK is 31. Anybody under the age of 25, please do not get married. I'm saying that right now. That's my opinion. Being real about it, if you want to get married under the age of 25, that's absolutely fine. Do whatever you want. It's your marriage, it's your life. Have fun. But I don't think everybody is ready for marriage at the age of 25. She has said multiple times that she doesn't think that men want to marry anybody under 25. And that's true, probably of some people. Bit weird though. But it's interesting that she doesn't question the age of the husband. So what age is he in this scenario? Is he 40? Is he 60? And I fully believe if you're a fully grown adult dating or marrying another fully grown adult, that's fine. But why does there need to be a standard of the woman needs to be younger than 25, whereas the man can be whatever age? And I need to point out here as well, because it is very important for context, that Pearl is over 25 and she's not married. This isn't an issue for me anyway. This isn't an issue, but she seems to think that it's an issue, but not about herself. She sits here and she gives marriage advice and she tells people how to date and how to have a happy marriage, but she's not married and she's about to turn 27. So what's happening there? Does she see herself as the undesirable woman? Is all of this insecurity and projection? Or is she simply talking out of her ass?
Every woman is hypergamot. Every woman has a nature to impose her will on men. Now, some women are protected or they avoid it and they don't end up going to that nature. But the point is, women are a certain way. And the problem is we lie to men about the way women are and act like we're these sweet angels that can just do no wrong.
But Pearl is different because she's saying that there's a problem.
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
When really, there aren't many wives nowadays that submit and obey their husbands. And this is why I tell the guys, I would just throw out all the chicks pretty much over the age of like 24, even 23 these days, and really just get a younger chick and mold her.
At this point, Pearl full on says you need to find a young woman and groom her into being what you want her to be. Her advice to men is to get somebody under the age of 24 while they're still young, still haven't figured their shit out, and to make them be whatever it is that they want from a wife. And then somehow she expects that that's going to create a happy marriage. Not that that woman is going to grow a little bit older, realized she has been controlled by a man and feel unhappy. But then if the woman leaves, because this man is controlling her, it's her fault. And once again, Pearl is about to turn 27.
Look what's happened the last 100 years when women have gotten more and more choice. We've chosen poorly, right? And or the tendency for women to go for men crazy out of our league. Or for women to believe in like fairy tales and delusion. You know, we used to have the men protect us from this, but the problem is we've given men no power and no authority in this society, and then whine when we're not protected.
This is one of those moments where I truly believe that her saying that men don't have any power or authority in today's society is just her trying to bring up these talking points that she knows people are going to disagree with. I'm not getting into patriarchy stuff here, I'm not talking about that, but it is undeniable that men do have power. I'm not saying they have all the power, but they have quite a lot of power. She just wants to be controversial to get engagement.
And the point is, we're either equal or we're not. And if we're not equal, then we need to start giving up some of our freedom to the men in order to have a better society.
I assumed the whole point of women having rights was that we're supposed to be equal. We're supposed to share responsibilities equally in partnerships. Assuming that you're in a partnership with a man. Because, I mean, if you're a viewer of my channel, you know that is not the case for me. Or for Pearl, but for different reasons.
Women, we are just so easy to like propagate, like anything you put into our ear, we just believe.
Perhaps it's true that anything Pearl hears, she believes, which may explain why she touts such nonsense a lot of the time, and also contradicts herself a lot of the time, as you will see later on. But this is the trap that Pearl falls into a lot of the time, where she thinks that because something applies to her, that it applies to all women, because surely it's not just her who believes everything that she hears. Surely it's not just her that's stupid, because in her own words, I'm not calling her stupid. She's calling her stupid.
So what conclusion does that lead me to? I think the women are dumber than the men.
She has made tweet after tweet and comment after comment and video after video about how women are stupid. And once again, I just have to say, it's okay if she's stupid, but she needs to realize that that doesn't mean that all women are stupid. Just in the same way that there are stupid men, and that doesn't mean that all men are stupid. She seems to take these experiences of her own and believe that it's just everybody else too. Not every woman is a redhead, and not every woman is stupid.
So it's like we have to use that and really use propaganda and media techniques where the housewives are cool again. I know, this sounds so silly.
This presumably Republican woman in the United States believes that propaganda is the way to go. Now, I don't know about you, but in school I learned that propaganda was part of fascism. And once again, to my knowledge, I believe that democracy and fascism don't really go together. So I also want to point out that Desperate Housewives does exist. That is a show that people love. And you know what? Some women maybe watched that and went, that looks great, I'll do that. And others probably looked at it and went, no, not for me. And here, once again, lies the issue with Pearl Davis. She believes in the idea of traditional marriage. And what is that? It's a marriage in accordance with the classical norms of a given culture, generally for the main reason of establishing a family unit. Even though prenuptial traditions differ in various societies, a traditional marriage usually follows a time of courtship, public proclamation of wedding plans, and a marriage ceremony. And it can also mean a marriage of a wife and husband, wherein the husband is the main or only breadwinner, and the wife holds main or total accountability for keeping up the household and managing care or children. Now, if you are somebody who wants to be in this sort of marriage, then absolutely go and do that. Go and look for a partner who wants that same marriage. Nobody is going to stop you. If that makes you happy, I am very happy for you. In fact, I get really sad when I see those TikToks of like housewives showing their days and people are just digging into them saying like, this is so sad, like how can this be your life? It's mind your business. Stay out of it. But in the same breath, not everybody wants that kind of marriage. I personally don't know any women who want to be in that kind of marriage. And that's not me saying that those women don't exist. Again, we've established they do. And then they find husbands who also want the same thing and hopefully end up very happy. But a lot of women and a lot of men don't want that kind of relationship. It would be all well and good for Pearl to sit here and talk about these kind of traditional marriages in a nice and healthy way for people who want to be in that kind of relationship. But the way that Pearl frames it is that everybody must be in these relationships, and that is where I take issue. We have freedom of choice, and being forced into a type of marriage and a structure that you're not happy with is not going to result in a happy family unit, as people like Pearl would like to believe. It's going to result in an unhappy couple if they have children, potentially unhappy children who are witnessing this, and again, potentially end up in divorce. Something which Pearl very much disagrees with. But where Pearl thinks that divorce should be prevented by getting rid of divorce, making it illegal and not possible for people to do, I believe that the best way to prevent divorce as much as is possible is by making sure that everybody who's going into the marriage has the same expectations, has the same wants in life, they want to do the same things, they're in agreement about the roles that will be taken on, whether that's 50-50, whether that's one person is the breadwinner and one person is the stay-at-home homemaker. Getting all of that arranged beforehand, not finding somebody under 24 with the only purpose being that you can mold them to what you want, because they will grow up and they will decide what it is that they want, and forming a happy union between two people who know what they want and agree with each other about what they want out of this relationship. That is the best way, in my opinion, to try and prevent divorce. Of course, it's not always going to work. People get divorced for certain reasons. A lot of stuff is unpreventable, and sometimes people just grow apart. But forcing people who don't want to be in traditional marriages to be in traditional marriages is not going to solve any problems, it's just going to create more. Now let's take a look at one of Pearl's more casual videos.
The cell phone guys are the top guys. These are going to represent the men. These guys really don't have to do much to get laid. Like, first date, most women are giving it to them. Second date, right? They don't even really have to take chicks on dates. And these are the men that are going to have a really hard time settling down, because they've seen the worst side of female nature. They've seen the good girls come on to them.
This explanation confuses me, because she's saying that these men aren't going to want to settle down because women bad, because man have sex with woman. Do you understand where that's not clicking, or do I need to over-explain this to you? Because that's just a strange take.
The water bottle. So these guys are the husbands, okay? So the husbands are the guys that have to court the women. They really have to do a lot in order to get married. Like, they do have sex, they do get to smash, but you know, they typically have to either be friends with the girl first, they have to do something.
It's so strange to me, the idea that men shouldn't have to do anything to get into a relationship. Like, it's just owed to them, like it's something they should just be given. Like, oh, of course, yes, a woman should be assigned to you. Both men and women have to try at the beginning of a relationship. That's how it works. It's called dating. It's called forming a bond.
My AirPods, these will be the women, okay? So they'll find this what they think is a unicorn, right? And they court her, right? And boom, she's not sleeping with him. And he thinks, wow, therefore this is a good woman. This is what happened to Logan Paul. This is Nina Agdal. And, you know, historically that would be true. But we're in a modern era. And remember, she's poisoned. This culture is poisonous to us women. Because again, we have been given a crazy amount of attention from the time we're like 13, 14 years old. We're, you know, it doesn't matter if we go to the church, the media, or school, whatever it is, we can do no wrong because we're women. We're always in the right. And so we've gone our whole lives never being told the truth about what's annoying, what's not annoying, being told we're more amazing than we are.
I can tell you right now how wrong that is, because there are a plethora of types of women and traits that women have that get called out. For one that was getting called out recently was the pick-me girl. A pick-me is a woman that is willing to do anything for male approval. She will embarrass or throw women under the bus to achieve this goal. The unfortunate thing about a pick-me is usually the men they are trying to seek approval from are of poor quality and treat women badly, leaving little real benefit for the pick-me. And here's what a pick-me would say. If a man cheats on you, it's probably because it's your fault.
You're starving your man of sex and he goes and gets it elsewhere. That's your own damn fault. I swear to God, I don't feel bad for you if you get cheated on.
Be feminine. Make him food. Clean his asshole. Does this sound like anybody to you? Does this sound like anyone to you? Now, I would say that I would find it strange that perhaps Pearl has never been called out for certain behaviors of hers, because she seems to think that no woman has ever been told no. No woman has ever been told she's wrong. And then I remembered, Pearl's really fucking rich. She comes from a rich family.
Hi guys, this is my mother. I also call her my birther, giver of life. For me, she calls me the best thing that ever happened to her. When did we build the house?
It took us probably like 2.5 years.
Oh, how big is the land we're on?
We're on about 40 acres.
She's really not sleeping with him because she's banging her ex-boyfriend. Yup. They're bad. Sorry, this is okay.
Pearl is writing fan fiction here.
And it's funny because a lot of the guys that kind of push this tradcon lifestyle, a lot of them met their wife and didn't know her when she was younger, so they don't really know. Or a lot of them kind of grew up in a different time before social media. Because remember, social media has poisoned the women. We are all poisoned. We are all ruined. Because we're used to, we either have male friends, we have whatever.
I have absolutely no idea why it's an issue to have male friends. That just felt like a throwaway comment, as do a lot of the things that she says. Also, this idea that women are ruined. This is just purity culture. That nothing good has come out of purity culture. I dare you to tell me something good that has come out of purity culture without making it up.
What can the guys really do? They can go younger, right? So they can go date like a 20-year-old. But now, you know, women are racking up bodies from the time they're 14.
This is something that Pearl brings up a lot, is other people's body counts, because she believes that women should be virgins before they get married. Once again, though, we have to look at the hypocrisy of this, because just like the fact that she gives marriage advice and isn't married, and just like the fact that she thinks that women lose their value after 25 and she's nearing 27, Pearl believes that women need to be virgins before marriage. But Pearl has openly admitted that she's not a virgin. Again, I don't have an issue with that. Nobody should have an issue with that, but you know who seems to have an issue with that? Is Pearl. She doesn't stand by anything that she says that she believes. And this is why I truly believe that she just says things. I think she's just a grifter who's just trying to get engagement and attention and money. I'm sure she believes some of what she says, but for the most part, she just says things. And let's bring it back to the traditional marriage thing, shall we? Because once again, Pearl is not practicing what she preaches. She's a working woman. This is a job. She has a job. What's going to happen when she gets married? Is she going to delete all her social media? Is she going to stop posting on Twitter? Is she going to stop talking on YouTube and giving marriage advice? Because if she doesn't do that, she's earning money. She's a working woman. And then it's not this traditional marriage ideal that she is pushing on everybody else. And in fact, as a woman who has said that, you know, you need to find somebody under 25, she's 27. What effort is she putting into finding a husband? Because it seems like all of her focus seems to be on talking. And like she said herself, women need to talk less because women are stupid. So why is she talking so much? Is she not devaluing herself? How is she going to find a husband this way? She's 27 nearly. She's all over the internet spreading her women ideas. She has a job, she earns her own money, she's forcing her ideals onto people, and she's not a virgin. So by her own standards, is she not unmarriable? Is she not a low-value woman? What is the future for Pearl if the only thing that she thinks matters is a traditional marriage? I want to be very clear once again, these are not beliefs that I stand by, so she can be all of those things and I do not care. She's the only one who is spouting this as the ideal, but she is not living up to it. Now, as well as her own channels, she's also been a guest on a lot of different things, such as the H3 podcast.
And what kind of important messages is it that you find yourself are about?
I believe in family, so I think that we should have policies that push family. I think that feminism overall was a bad thing. I think women are happier when we have, a family and kids over a career in the long run.
Again, that may be her experience, and that may be a lot of women's experience. A lot of women just want to be mothers and homemakers, and that's great. Do that. That's the point of choice, because you can choose to do that, or you can choose, I'm happiest focusing on my career, which, again, is what she's currently doing.
So I just think it's important that we push policies that push family.
So how do you push a policy that promotes family? Like, in what way can you force a family to stay together or encourage it in a sense?
Well, I think you first have to get rid of incentives that incentivize like women to leave families. So, for example, child support, alimony. I'm not really a fan of those.
Child support. So if there's a divorce, let's say
actually, I think we should ban divorce too. Yeah, I think that should be banned. Yes.
Okay, well, that's a little bit silly. You have to acknowledge that, right?
No.
She looks so gleeful in this moment because she kept talking and waited for the comment that she would make that would strike the most controversy. And then in this moment, she's like, great, I found it.
So banning divorce means that when you decide to get married, you are not allowed by the government to leave your significant other in any situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think that if you want to leave, you just shouldn't get married.
But she's also pushed that people need to get married and women need to get married before 25. So which is it?
There's like exceptions to this, but I would just say in general, for most cases, we could talk about exceptions, but like the rule.
Well, the exceptions are the important part, because I've heard you say that a lot when you're talking about things. You say, oh, you want to talk about exceptions, but the exceptions is the important part, because those are the people that are going to be affected. I mean, exceptions are going to be a large part of divorces, as you say. I mean, you're talking about 25% maybe or more, because if you're saying you're not allowed to get divorced, so we're talking about what if the relationship is physically abusive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if it's physically, this is the problem though. All right, if it's one-sided physically abuse, okay, fine, divorce. We can allow divorce for those exceptions, but
okay.
I've even talked to people that work at abuse centers, and they say that the majority of abuse is mutual. So it's not just one side's hitting the other; it's mutual. So
surely that's not every time.
I think. Yeah, I know.
But it's not healthier either.
Mm-hmm.
Surely, if both sides are being abusive, they should still get divorced. Am I crazy for thinking that? No, she's the one who's... I'm joking.
So do you agree with that premise that slavery was embellished, or no?
I think that there are parts that are under-embellished and there are parts that are over-embellished. I think it just depends what we're talking about.
That's so interesting. I've got to know what was over-embellished about slavery. One example, I'm dying to know.
I don't normally like Ethan, but I like him in this one.
You just said some parts were embellished, some parts were under-embellished.
I just, again...
Are you retracting that?
I'd really just rather not.
Okay. Dude, no, but slavery being embellished, that's so interesting. I don't know how you embellish it.
There are certain facts that we're not allowed to talk about.
Like what? I would love to. We're doing the taboo.
No,
we're mixing it up. It's red pill, baby. Let's see the world as it is.
Taboo topics.
I genuinely want to know how it's embellished.
Yeah.
What can't we talk about? Come on.
I mean, I could show you the video I was quoting, but it's just, I'd rather not get into this, so.
Sounds like a blue pill attitude to me.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping this was a good faith interview.
Wait, what's bad faith? I'm literally showing you clips of you saying stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's so funny to me that she has this whole debating podcast herself. She has her own podcast where she debates people, but when somebody questions her about her own beliefs and things that she's said herself, she can't take the heat.
Like, if you watch the full interview, I am quoting somebody, and now you're trying to pin me down about a topic that I don't dive into.
Hold on.
So it's like,
Hold on,
that's not the point of my channel.
Okay,
Like,
so
the point
it's
of my channel isn't.
I
like,
know,
I'm
but you
quoting-
said it. How is that bad faith? Hold on, let me see.
Because I was talking about how the founder of the Thomas Sowell talks about how the guy that made Roots talked about how it was a myth for his people to live by.
Okay.
That's what the guy who made Roots said, Alex Haley.
Okay.
So, and I can't even talk about that on a podcast without being canceled by the internet.
Yeah, but mythology, you know, myth doesn't necessarily mean it's a lie, right? Just because mythology is like a culture,
right, but
a
I'm
history.
saying that doesn't mean the way it's depicted in the movie was how it actually happened.
At no point has she ever seemed to care about her opinions being cancelable. She says a lot of very controversial things, very openly and very proudly. That's her whole brand. But all of a sudden, she can't talk about this one. She's also been on Good Morning Britain, and it was pointed out that she seemed to be very excited about this and think that Piers Morgan was her friend, but she was swiftly shown that that was not the case.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis is the self-styled anti-feminist influencer who's creating major buzz online with a contrarian view. She's appeared in a couple of debates on this show. It's called Uncensored after all. We welcome any honestly held opinions. But this week, she's facing a major backlash of posting a song titled Why Can't We Talk About the Jews, which she dedicated to far-right commentator Nick Fuentes before later deleting it.
Why can't we talk about the without getting kicked off of YouTube? Now, I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy, but I kinda wanna know why. Now there's all these conspiracy theories, and the more they talk, I think maybe they're right. But I can't even listen to the convo.
Well, Pearl joins me now, along with the New York author and founder of End Jew Hatred, Brooke Goldstein, over in the States. All right, Pearl, you've come on the show a couple of times, right? We've had some spirited debates about feminism and stuff like that, and I thought you've made some good points, and it's got lots of traction. Then I wake up the other day and I see this thing that's trending involving you doing this song, and I couldn't really believe what I was watching. I didn't know why did you find it funny?
Huh?
Did you find it funny? I mean, you know the backlash to it. I mean, you deleted it. You obviously thought you shouldn't have posted it.
Once again, I'm not sure whether Pearl is genuinely anti-Semitic or whether she is just saying these things to drum up controversy, because it's one or the other. But now let's look at some examples of tweets from JustPearlyThings, because like I said, this is where I first found her. Let's start a gender war. I don't think they could make a female Elon Musk if they tried. Our brains aren't as smart. I already made my point about this, but just because you're not smart doesn't mean that everyone isn't smart. What's the best banana bread recipe? I'm only adding this one in because I genuinely did create the best banana bread of all time. So, Pearl, if you'd like to take advice from a woman, I will gladly give you my recipe because it's really fucking good. Not relevant to anything else in this video. I just want to brag that I made really nice banana bread. See, I'm a traditional woman. I bake. Women talk so much at work, I think they make the men less productive. She works for herself. She's a social media entertainer. I don't know what experience she has with this. And secondly, if she thinks women should talk less, maybe she should lead by example. Start a gender war with women and jail us back to the kitchen. If you thought you could be a whore and have a happy marriage later, odds are you're probably ruined and won't 80%. But who knows? Miracles happen. Men are marrying whores every day, 2 bodies, and whores are convincing them they're not whores. Someone else hit and now you have to marry to hit. And uh-oh. Whoopsie, seems somebody made a mistake with that tweet. I am now going to use that tweet to explain once again my argument about Pearl, which is that she either must believe 100% of the things that she's saying, which I do not think she does, or she just says stuff for attention. Now take this tweet for example. Either this is something that she truly believes, in which case whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police, or she just says things for attention, and I would love to know. Which is it? Pearl, do you stand by this tweet? Do you believe this? Or are you just saying things to be controversial and make money and get views? Here's where I stand on the whole thing. I clearly disagree with the vast majority of what this woman says. But at the same time, and I know this does upset some people for some reason, I truly don't understand why this upsets people. If you can explain it to me, I'd love that. I am a believer in free speech. She has the right to come out here and tout whatever nonsense she wants to. She has the freedom to do that, and that's freedom of speech. Freedom of choice. To make the choice to say these things. But equally, I have the freedom of speech to say I disagree with her. I think she's a grifter. I think she has no actual morals or beliefs. She doesn't live by the things that she preaches, and she's a pick-me for her own personal gain. And sadly, this is just me scratching the surface of Pearl Davis. There is so much more. With the amount of videos and tweets and TikToks that she posts, there are countless strange and just all-round dramatic takes that she has made that if I was to get into them all, we would be here for a 10-hour video. And I know some YouTubers these days are making 10-hour videos, but I'm sorry, I don't have a team. It's just me doing all of this. I can't possibly, or else you guys won't see me for a year. But like I said, overall, Hannah Pearl Davis is just somebody who does not live by the beliefs that she is trying to force onto others. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about all of this. And you can also leave me a comment letting me know how your day is. Please check out the new merch. I know a lot of you guys like it already, so just check it out. Link in the description. I had fun designing this merch and I hope you guys like it too. Follow me on social media, like, comment, share, and don't forget to click the link in my description to get 30% off unlimited access on Ground News. Once again, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye!